Hello and welcome back to my channel. After the first video, it's now more than a half year ago, I introduced you into my Docker container and into the Symfony installation. It was a very basic tutorial, and yeah, there were a lot of fantastic comments and also a comment to increase the font size in the IDE, so I made it in this video. And in this video, I want to teach you to create your first controller and your first routes. And yeah, so let's get started. Yeah, as I said before, I increased the font size here inside my IDE, and I also initialized a Git repository. So if you want, you can clone this repository. I attached the link in the comments below. And yeah, in this episode, I want to create the first controller. And if you see and open the source folder, you have still a folder here named controller. And this folder is not for simplification, but for the config. Yeah, inside the config file, you see here the routes YAML, and there in this file, it's set that source controller folder has to exist. Yeah, otherwise it will be thrown an error here. Okay, so we can move on and create a new PHP class, and I want to name this controller home controller. And as you see here, you have to postfix all the names of the classes with the folders in which they are. That's needed because otherwise you will have to use an alias for the use statements inside the other classes. So if you mention that you have an entity which is called person, you will also have a person controller, a person repository, the person entity itself, and maybe some other services like a person factory or something like this. So, and if you use this stuff inside the controller, you will have to use an alias for all the import statements if you have not this postfix. So that's a naming convention here in Symfony, that you have this postfix for all of your classes here. Okay, so yeah, now I have created the home controller and I have to delete the git ignore. That's something I have to do, I don't know why. And yeah, with this controller, we can start with our first method. In the old days, it was called an action, so I have to think about it, but now it's only a method, and the name doesn't really matter. So you can name it like you want, but with the clean code in mind, please give this method a name which tells you what it does. Okay, so now I have a public function and I have here this index action. Yeah, I don't write action, but it's an action. So for this reason here, and we have the home controller and the index action, and it will give a response. And here have a little bit of attention. You have to choose the right namespace here. You have 4 different classes in 4 different namespaces, and the right one is the Symfony component HTTP foundation. Yeah, so, and if you press enter now inside your PHP IDE, I hope you also use PHP Storm, but maybe it's also working with Visual Studio or something else. You will get this use statement here above your class. And now we have to close this body or make the parentheses here for the body. And now we can start using this method. And the very the easiest, that's the word I searched, the easiest solution to make a model view controller pattern working is that we have, and keep in mind that the simplest solution for this is that we have a model, and in this model I give a string which is hello world, yeah, and I want a view, and my view is a new response from this namespace, and in that I give the content model, okay, and at the end of the controller method here I will return this view. So yeah, that's not pretty clean code, so but it's here for describing this model view controller pattern, yeah. And you will see in the next videos that we change the model further on with the doctrine ORM, and we will change the view with the Twig template engine in the next video, and then we have this return in this controller. So yeah, so it's a simple solution, but it's, for me, and please write it in the comments below if you have another opinion about that, for me it's the simplest solution for the model view controller pattern. Yeah, believe it or not, but that's my solution for this pattern. So okay, and now we want to reach this method from our browser. So yeah, that's what a web application is made for. So we have the browser and we want to start a request, yeah, and we came with this request into the Symfony application, and all the router stuff will guide the application and the request to this controller and this method. So we have to define a route, and we will make this with an attribute. Yeah, attributes are introduced in PHP 8. If you need some help with that, please also write it in the comments below. So yeah, let's start with the route and with the attribute. The attribute is starting with this hashtag and then this parentheses. I'm not sure how this is called in English. And then we have to type in route, and you also see here two different namespaces, and for sure it's an attribute, so we choose the Symfony component routing attribute. And this route, you can follow this route class here. For me on the Mac it's the pressed command key, and I think on the Windows it's the pressed control key, and you can click on this class and you see this class route has a very huge constructor with 1, 2, 3, more than 10, I think more than 10 arguments here, and these arguments are also have default values. Yeah, for all the arguments you have a default value, and with this you can use the named arguments here. Also in PHP 8 there was the named arguments introduced, and we can use this here to only get these parts we need. So yeah, for our simple example here, we want to set the path, and for me it's all or nothing. So I don't like the guys who are starting with this, yeah, with the simple round, and after that they use named arguments, so they are mixing the named arguments with the normal arguments. So I want all or nothing, so for me I will only start with named arguments here, and we have this path. It's only the slash, yeah, so that's our starting point in our application. And the name has also a convention. We start with app because it's in the app namespace. Then we have the name of the controller, so for me it's home, and after that we take the name of the method we are using. Here it's the index action. So yeah, and this should work. So let's try this. I change to my browser and I have this localhost opened, and here you see I only tested if the Docker environment is running before. And now if I press enter, I have the localhost with my hello world. And you see this is a very simple example of our model view controller pattern, which we are using in a normal web application with a server-side rendering engine here. And yeah, we have this hello world, and we can talk more about the routes. One other example is, and this will cause an error at the first try because we need an additional package. So that's why I want to show you this example. Maybe we have a route which is called contact, yeah, not contact, contact. So we will have this contact name here for the routing, and here we start typing pubf and type in the contact method name, give back a response, and I want to copy our perfect model view controller example here and type in hello contact. So, and if I want to open this path here, you will see this error because this page wasn't found. But why not? So this this is because of the normal Apache configuration. So the Apache looks inside our public folder, yeah, that's the public folder with the index.php entry file, and it looks here for the directory which is called contact, and here it's looking for a HTML file index.php, and we'll also see here that's not Symfony. Yeah, and if we open this, it's pretty fast, and you see that's not Symfony. That's the basic configuration of an Apache server. So we need to install the Apache Pack component. You see the link here, and you have the installation introductions here. Composer requires Symfony Apache Pack. And I want to install this. I have to go to our Docker container here. So for all installations, I only work inside the Docker container. Yeah, so I want to encapsulate my whole environment into this container. These are the advantages of our Docker environment, so that you don't need any PHP or MySQL or something else installation on your host computer. Okay, so if you see my host computer here has PHP not even installed. So I go to my YouTube starting to Apache PHP container. I realize this with docker exec, then IT for interactive terminal. I paste in the container name. After that, I want to open this with the bash. And now you see I am on the container. You can see that pretty easy here with the root user at the randomized host name. Okay. So, and on this machine, on this Docker machine here, I give in the composer requirement statement here, and you will see that it's installed pretty quick because it's a very small package. And here you have this question about executing the recipe here. It's from the contrib repository, so that's why this question is popped up here. So I answer this with yes, because I know this this recipe, and for sure if you have some other packages where you are not knowing enough about this recipe, please look into this recipe with this link here, and yeah, just check what it's doing on your computer. Okay, so I answer this with yes, and after that the cache is cleared and we can go back to our site and try it again. And you see I have too many redirects because maybe I have this file here. I have to delete that. And after that, everything is working fine. So now we are on the contact route, and also our home route is working. And that's a pretty basic tutorial, but we need this for all the further tutorials here. So in the next series, in the next episode, we will look into handling twig, as I mentioned before, and then you will have the knowledge to create a simple, albeit unattractive web application. So stay tuned. Thank you for your comments in the last video. Hopefully it's the same for this video, and until next time, bye bye.